My ex-wife cheated with my best friend, so I cut them off. But 5 years later, she showed up with their daughter begging for help. So I did this, and now I woke up to 22 missed calls, throwaway, because some of our old mutual friends know my main account. I, male, 35, had the most insane thing happen last night, and I'm still trying to process everything. So I'm just sitting at home, watching the game with my dog Buddy. Had knee surgery last month, which completely drained my savings, but that's a whole other story. It's pouring rain outside, and suddenly Buddy starts going crazy barking at the door. I get up thinking it's probably the delivery guy with my pizza. I forgot to mention I ordered food, lol. But instead, I open the door, and Jennifer, my ex-wife, who I haven't seen or talked to in 5 years, is standing on my porch soaking wet. I literally thought I was hallucinating for a second, like my brain couldn't even process what I was seeing. And then I noticed there's a little girl partially hiding behind her legs, clutching this worn-out stuffed rabbit. Jennifer asked if we could talk. I just stood there, completely frozen. Okay, I should probably give some background. Jennifer and I met in college, dated for 2 years, got married, and were together for almost 8 years total. In our 3rd year of marriage, she got pregnant, and we were both super excited, had the nursery all set up and everything. But then she miscarried in the 2nd trimester. It was devastating. I probably didn't handle it great, to be honest. I threw myself into work. She got depressed. We drifted apart a bit, but I thought we were working through it together. Carlos was my best friend since high school. We played baseball together, were roommates in college. He was my best man, godfather to our unborn baby. I trusted him with everything. So about 5 years ago, God, has it really been that long? I came home early from a work conference to surprise Jennifer. The last day got canceled, so I thought it would be nice to come home and take her out to dinner or something. Yeah, I know, I'm an idiot. Found them in our bed. Turns out they'd been sleeping together for almost a year. Carlos told me they'd fallen in love and couldn't help themselves. The divorce was a nightmare. They basically rewrote history to make me the bad guy. Told everyone I was emotionally unavailable after the miscarriage, that I neglected Jennifer, all this bullshit. And you know what's really messed up? Most of our friends believed them. I was so done with everything that I just left. Moved across the state, changed my number, deleted all social media, the whole thing. For the past few years, I've built a pretty good life. Got promoted at my company, bought a house, adopted Buddy, even started doing woodworking. Made a coffee table that everyone compliments when they come over, lol. I reconnected with my brother Walter, who I hadn't been close with for years. And I've been dating Megan for about 14 months now. She's a pediatric nurse. We met when I broke my wrist playing softball. Things have been really good. Anyway, back to last night. Jennifer introduces the little girl as Tabitha, her 4-year-old daughter. And I could immediately see Carlos in her. She has his eyes and same dimpled chin. Jennifer starts explaining that Carlos has a gambling addiction that's gotten really bad. They lost their house, maxed out all their credit cards, and he's borrowed money from some sketchy people. She said he's become verbally abusive and sometimes physically aggressive. The final straw was when he shoved her into a wall while Tabitha was watching. She grabbed what she could and left. When I asked why she came to me of all people, seriously, why? She said she had nowhere else to go. Her parents died in a car accident 2 years ago. I had no idea. And her sister Marlene lives overseas in Australia, I think, and apparently won't help because they have some kind of strained relationship. She told me I was the only person she thought might not turn her away. I honestly felt nothing for Jennifer anymore. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. But seeing her there was giving me this weird tight feeling in my chest, and I kept getting flashes of finding her with Carlos. I was half convinced this was some elaborate scam to get money or something. But then I looked at Tabitha, standing there shivering and clutching that rabbit, and I don't know. She's 4 years old. Not her fault, her parents are messed up. I couldn't just send them back out into the rain. It was pouring and 45 degrees out, so I did something that I'm probably going to regret. I told Jennifer they could stay in my spare room for 2 weeks maximum while she finds a job and alternative housing. I made it super clear this was temporary and I wasn't getting involved in their problems beyond giving them a roof for a short time. After they got settled in the guest room, basically just a futon and some workout equipment, I called Megan to explain the situation. She was really quiet on the phone. I thought she was just processing everything, but now I'm wondering if she was actually upset and I misread it. I'm not always great at picking up on that stuff. It's been less than 24 hours and I'm already second-guessing my decision. Last night, I kept hearing Jennifer moving around in the guest room, and it reminded me of when I found her with Carlos. I barely slept. I've never been the kind of person who can just shut the door on someone who needs help. Maybe that's my problem. But this feels different. This is the woman who hurt me so badly, who lied to my face for a year while sleeping with my best friend, who turned all our friends against me, and now she's sleeping in my house with their kid. Am I crazy for letting them stay? Should I have just called them an Uber to a hotel or something? I keep telling myself it's just 2 weeks, and I'm doing this for an innocent kid, not for Jennifer. But this whole situation feels so surreal. Edit. A lot of people are asking if Tabitha could be my daughter. No, the timeline doesn't work out. Jennifer was already about 3 months pregnant when I found out about the affair 5 years ago, and Tabitha is 4. And yes, I'm 100% sure the affair was going on because Carlos admitted it had been happening for almost a year. Edit 2. To the people suggesting I do a background check, I actually did Google them both this morning when Jennifer was in the shower. Carlos has a bunch of debt collection judgments against him from what I can see. Jennifer doesn't have much online presence, which is weird because she used to be super active on social media. Thanks for all the comments. I'm trying to read through them all. For those asking about my house setup, it's a 3-bedroom, master, my home office, and the spare room they're staying in. And no, I don't think Jennifer is trying to get back with me. She seems genuinely desperate and scared, not flirty or manipulative. But then again, I thought our marriage was solid while she was sleeping with my best friend for a year. So what do I know? Someone asked why I let them in at all. I'm not usually an impulsive person. I'm a programmer, FFs. We overthink everything. But seeing a scared kid in the rain kind of short-circuited my normal thought process. Not making excuses, just trying to explain. Now for the first update. So it's been almost a month since Jennifer and Tabitha showed up on my doorstep. I know, the 2 weeks maximum thing didn't exactly work out. First off, thanks to everyone who commented on my last post. I read every comment, even if I didn't respond to them all. For those wondering why I haven't updated sooner, honestly, everything has been happening so fast, and I've barely had time to think, let alone type all this out. So yeah, what was supposed to be a temporary 2-week arrangement has now stretched into almost a month. Jennifer has been trying really hard to find a job. I'll give her that. She's applied to literally everything. Retail, restaurants, admin jobs, even housekeeping at hotels. But she keeps getting rejected because of her employment gap. She was a SAM for the past few years and not having a college degree. I've driven her to a bunch of interviews, and every time she comes back looking sad, even though she tries to act positive. It's weird. I don't want to feel bad for her after everything she did to me, but watching her try to act all positive in front of Tabitha when I know she's gotten another rejection is kind of heartbreaking. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too soft. Things with Megan have been really difficult. She's canceled our Friday date nights 2 weeks in a row. First time, she said she got called in for an emergency shift. She's a pediatric nurse, so that happens. But the second time, she just texted that she was too tired and needed to rest. Her texts have gotten super short too, like 1 or 2 words. I figure she's just busy at the hospital. They're always understaffed, and she's been picking up extra shifts lately. Last week, she finally came over for dinner and met Jennifer and Tabitha. It was so awkward. Megan kept watching me and Jennifer like she was looking for something, and she barely talked during dinner except to ask Jennifer these weirdly specific questions about her plans moving forward. I tried to lighten the mood by telling funny stories about Buddy, my dog, but nobody was really laughing. Speaking of Buddy, he's gotten super attached to Tabitha. Like he literally sleeps outside her door every night. It's kind of sweet, but also makes me feel weird because he used to do the same thing with the nursery we set up before Jennifer's miscarriage. God, that feels like a lifetime ago. I keep telling myself I'm just being nice to an innocent kid who's been through a lot. But honestly, I've started to really care about Tabitha. She has Carlos's eyes and dimpled chin, but her laugh is 100% Jennifer's. She's so curious about everything and asks a million questions. Last Tuesday, it was pouring rain, and Jennifer had a job interview, so I helped Tabitha build a blanket fort in the living room. We spent like 3 hours reading stories and drawing pictures. It felt so normal. And yeah, I know I said I was just giving them temporary shelter, but I've definitely caught myself looking up elementary schools in my neighborhood and checking out the playground equipment at the local park. I'm not even sure why I did that. Things got really scary about a week ago. Jennifer started getting threatening texts from Carlos. I heard her crying in the bathroom after a call where he was screaming so loud I could hear him through the phone. When she finally came out, eyes all red and puffy, she told me Carlos has some serious gambling debts to some really dangerous people, like possibly connected to organized crime dangerous. I suggested she change her number, which she did. Problem solved, right? Nope. 3 days later, fucking flowers arrive at my house addressed to Jennifer. The card said, "I know where you are. We need to talk." See, Jennifer completely lost it. Full-on panic attack. She couldn't breathe and kept saying Carlos had threatened to take Tabitha somewhere she'd never find her if she ever left him. I didn't tell Jennifer, but the next day I installed a security camera system at my house. Then Megan showed up unannounced last Friday, which she never does, right when I was trying to calm Jennifer down after another scary text from Carlos. Megan walked in on me, basically holding Jennifer while she was sobbing, and yeah, it went about as well as you'd expect. We had a huge fight after Jennifer went to put Tabitha to bed. Megan said I'm still in love with Jennifer and that I'm setting myself up to get hurt again. I told her that was complete bullshit and I was just helping someone in a dangerous situation, but she wouldn't listen. I admit I got pretty defensive. I did tell her I feel responsible for making sure Tabitha is safe, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to say to my girlfriend, who's already feeling insecure about the situation. I reached out to Russ, one of our old mutual friends, who's still in touch with Carlos, to try to get some info. Apparently, Carlos has been fired from 2 jobs in the past year for erratic behavior, whatever that means, and he's borrowed money from literally everyone they know. Russ said Carlos has been telling people Jennifer kidnapped his daughter and is turning her against him. 2 nights ago, I got a call from my neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, saying there was a suspicious man watching my house. I went outside, and there's Carlos sitting in his piece of shit Camry across the street. I went over to confront him, and he got out of the car. He was obviously drunk, like could barely stand up straight drunk. His clothes were all wrinkled and dirty, like he'd been wearing them for days. He wanted to see Jennifer and his daughter. I told him to leave or I'd call the cops. He just laughed and asked if I was playing daddy to my kid now, Matt, which honestly made me want to punch him in the face. He started saying he knows my schedule, knows when I leave for work, knows Jennifer takes Tabitha to the park down the street in the afternoons. It was creepy as hell. I was about to call 911 when Jennifer suddenly appeared at the front door. Carlos basically shoved past me to get to her. Then Tabitha ran out calling for her mom, and it was like a switch flipped with Carlos. His whole demeanor changed when he saw her. Jennifer grabbed Tabitha and pulled her behind her. By this point, like half the neighborhood was out on their porches watching everything. Carlos kept going back and forth between begging Jennifer to come home and making threats about how things could get really bad if she didn't. I positioned myself between them, which was probably stupid considering Carlos is bigger than me and was clearly unstable. I took out my phone and told him I was calling the police, and he finally backed off, but not before shouting that this isn't over as he drove away. The whole thing left me pretty shaken up. I realized Jennifer and Tabitha aren't safe here as long as Carlos knows where they are. I've been thinking about ways to help them get a fresh start somewhere else, but I haven't told Jennifer about it yet. Megan called last night and said she needs space to think about our relationship. I told her I understood, and she's probably just stressed from work and all this trouble. She got really quiet and then said, "That's not it, Matt," before hanging up. I guess I'll give her some time to cool off. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. This was supposed to be a simple act of kindness for a kid who didn't ask for any of this mess. Now I've got my ex-wife living in my spare room, her psycho ex watching my house, my girlfriend barely speaking to me, and a 4-year-old who asked me yesterday if I could be her friend forever. Edit. A lot of people asking why I don't just kick them out now. It's not that simple. Carlos knows where they are. If I make them leave, where are they supposed to go? A shelter, a cheap motel where they'd be even less safe. I can't do that to them. To everyone suggesting I'm being manipulated by Jennifer, I get why you'd think that, but she's not acting flirty or trying to get back together. She actually seems embarrassed to need help and tries to do stuff around the house to earn her keep, her words. She does all the cooking and cleaning, even though I told her she doesn't have to. I should clarify about the job situation. Jennifer had a promising interview at a real estate office last week as an admin assistant. They seemed really interested, but then ghosted her after checking references. I'm wondering if Carlos somehow interfered. Someone asked about restraining orders. Jennifer is scared to get one because she says it will just make Carlos angrier. From what I've read, that can sometimes be true. But after the confrontation, I'm going to talk to her about it again. For those asking why I care so much about Tabitha when she's Carlos's kid, have you ever met a 4-year-old? They're innocent. She didn't choose her parents. And honestly, spending time with her doesn't feel like a chore or obligation. She's a sweet kid who's been through way too much already. Now for the second update. I know it's been a couple weeks since my last post. Thanks for all the advice and support on my last post, even if some of you were pretty harsh, but probably right to be honest. So after that whole confrontation with Carlos in front of my house, things got really bad. Jennifer has been jumping at literally every sound. Car doors, the mailman, even when Buddy barks at squirrels. She's been checking the security camera feed on her phone like every 10 minutes. I actually had to upgrade my Wi-Fi because the constant streaming was making it super slow. Not that that matters, but yeah. Tabitha started having these awful nightmares where she wakes up crying and asking if angry daddy is coming back. It's honestly heartbreaking. The first time it happened, Jennifer couldn't calm her down, and I ended up sitting on the floor next to her bed reading stories until she fell back asleep at like 3 a.m. The poor kid is traumatized, and I know some of you in the comments were like, not your kid, not your problem, but like, have you ever heard a terrified 4-year-old crying? It physically hurts to listen to. Anyway, after Carlos's little visit, I decided to take a few days off work. My boss was actually super understanding when I explained the situation, which surprised me. I convinced Jennifer that we needed to get a restraining order as soon as possible. She was really hesitant at first, kept saying it would just make Carlos angrier and that pieces of paper don't stop bullets, which was not reassuring. But I finally got her to agree and drove her to the courthouse. I sat through the whole hearing. Jennifer had to tell about all of Carlos's threats and past incidents. Some of the stuff she described happened when they were still together. Him grabbing her hard enough to leave bruises, throwing things at the wall next to her head, threatening to take Tabitha somewhere she'd never find her if Jennifer ever tried to leave. It was weird sitting there. I kept having these conflicting feelings watching her. On one hand, I felt terrible seeing her so scared, but on the other hand, I couldn't help remembering how she made me feel when I found out about the affair. Like, this woman completely devastated me 5 years ago, and now I'm sitting here watching her cry about the guy she left me for. Life is fucked up sometimes. And yes, before anyone asks, I've been going to therapy for the past 3 years. My therapist is probably gonna need therapy after hearing about all this though, lol. We got the restraining order, but Jennifer was still scared that Carlos would just ignore it. And guess what? She was right. 2 days later, fucking flowers arrive at my house, addressed to Jennifer with a note that said, "Paper can't keep us apart. I love you both. C." Jennifer freaked out. She couldn't breathe and kept saying he was going to take Tabitha. I had to call my neighbor Mrs. Peterson, who's a retired nurse, to come help because I honestly had no idea what to do. Oh, and Megan officially ended our relationship. She called last Thursday and said she couldn't deal with my unresolved feelings and that I was setting myself up to get hurt again. I tried to explain that I don't have feelings for Jennifer anymore. I'm just trying to help someone in a dangerous situation, but she wasn't having it. Said I was in denial and that she deserves someone who can be fully present. I mean, maybe she's right. I don't know. I still don't think I have feelings for Jennifer, but maybe I'm not being honest with myself. Or maybe Megan was just looking for an out. We had only been dating for like 14 months, so it's not like we were super serious or anything. And for what it's worth, Jennifer hasn't shown any signs of wanting to get back together. She mostly seems embarrassed about needing my help and keeps apologizing for ruining my life again. I called my brother Walter to see if maybe Jennifer and Tabitha could stay with him for a while. He lives in Tennessee. He was actually open to the idea, but his wife shot it down hard. Can't really blame her. Who wants their husband's brother's ex-wife and her kid living with them, lol. My parents also called after Walter told them what was going on. My mom was all worried about me getting involved with that woman again. And my dad just kept asking if I was sure Tabitha wasn't actually mine. I am sure. The timeline doesn't work. Buddy has gotten super protective of Tabitha. He literally growls at strangers who get too close to her at the park, which is weird because he's normally the friendliest dog ever. The job situation has been a complete nightmare. Jennifer finally had this promising interview at a real estate office as an admin assistant. They seemed really impressed with her and basically told her the job was hers. Then the next day, she got a call saying they couldn't hire her because some man claiming to be her husband called to inform them she was mentally unstable and had kidnapped their child. Yeah, Carlos is actively sabotaging her job prospects now. That was the final straw for me. Jennifer completely broke down after that call. She was sobbing on my kitchen floor saying she'd never escape him and that maybe she should just go back so Tabitha wouldn't have to keep running. And then Tabitha came over and patted her mom's head saying, "Don't cry, Mommy. We can hide again." Hide again. A 4-year-old shouldn't know about hiding again from someone. I realized this was way more serious than I initially thought. These two are genuinely terrified, and Carlos clearly isn't going to stop. So I called my college friend Victor, who works as a private investigator now, asked him to look into Carlos's gambling debts and connections. Then I spent like 6 hours researching domestic violence resources and lawyers who specialize in this kind of thing. I also discovered that my company has a branch office in Portland. I'm in Chicago, and they've been looking to fill a position similar to mine. I know this sounds crazy, but I started making a plan. And yeah, I know this is way beyond the 2 weeks maximum I initially promised, lol. Over the next week, I basically used almost all my savings to secure an apartment in Portland under my company's name. I arranged for a transfer for myself to the branch office there. My boss was again surprisingly cool about it. I think she has a sister who went through something similar. I also contacted this domestic violence organization in Portland that helps survivors find jobs and get back on their feet. Meanwhile, Carlos's behavior kept getting worse. He started driving by my house multiple times a day. The security cameras caught him watching the house at like 2 a.m. several times. He even approached Tabitha at the playground until some other parents stepped in and threatened to call the cops. He showed up at every job interview Jennifer went to. It was like he had nothing else to do but stalk them. I finally told Jennifer about my plan, relocating all of us to Portland. She was shocked and immediately started saying she couldn't disrupt my life any further. I explained that I had already arranged for my own transfer and showed her the paperwork for the new apartment that I'd prepaid for 6 months. I also showed her info about the domestic violence support group and potential job opportunities. She started crying and asked why I would do this after how badly she hurt me. I told her that I'm doing it partially for Tabitha, but also because no one deserves to live in fear like this. I don't care what she did to me 5 years ago. Nobody should have to be terrified every time they hear a car door slam. She hugged me, which was awkward. I felt all these complicated emotions and had to step back. I made it very clear this wasn't about getting back together. I told her I'd hired a lawyer who specializes in interstate custody cases to help her make sure Carlos couldn't use the court system to force her back. We scheduled the move for the following weekend and agreed not to tell anyone, not even Tabitha, until the last minute. The night before they were supposed to leave, I helped Jennifer pack their essential stuff discreetly. The plan was for them to leave first thing in the morning, and I would follow a week later so it wouldn't look suspicious. I gave Jennifer an envelope with cash, new prepaid phones, and all the documentation she'd need. Jennifer put Tabitha to bed early, telling her they were going on a special trip tomorrow. I slept on the couch with my alarm set for 5 a.m. to help them leave. But I didn't wake up to my alarm. At around 3 a.m., my phone started buzzing like crazy with security alerts. Carlos was trying to break in through my back door. I literally jumped off the couch and ran to wake up Jennifer and Tabitha. We grabbed their pre-packed bags, and I went to get my car keys. But when I checked the security camera feed, I saw that Carlos had slashed all my tires. I called an Uber while trying to barricade the back door. Carlos must have heard us moving around because he came around to the front door and started pounding on it and screaming all these accusations. Jennifer took Tabitha and hid in the bathroom while I tried to deal with Carlos. He was completely out of control, yelling that he would burn the house down if Jennifer didn't come out. I started recording everything on my phone while trying to stay calm. I told him the police were on their way. They were. My neighbor called them, thank God. Carlos got even more erratic and tried to break one of my windows. The Uber arrived just as we heard police sirens approaching. I created a distraction at the front door while Jennifer and Tabitha slipped out the side door to the waiting car. The police showed up and detained Carlos, who was clearly drunk off his ass and still making threats. I showed them the recording of his threats and the security footage of him trying to break in and slashing my tires. They arrested him for violating the restraining order, attempted breaking and entering, criminal threats, and property damage. I went back inside alone and just sat on my couch staring at the wall until like 6 a.m. I was completely drained, emotionally, physically, everything. I finally went to bed and crashed hard. When I woke up around 10, I had 22 missed calls. 8 from Carlos's number, probably calling from jail. 5 from Jennifer, confirming they arrived safely. 3 from Carlos's parents, accusing me of destroying their family. What the frick? 4 from numbers I didn't recognize, but I'm pretty sure are Carlos's gambling associates. 2 from the police, asking for additional statements. That was 3 days ago. I've given my statement to the police, but Carlos is already out on bail. His parents apparently paid it. My lawyer says the charges probably won't stick because the justice system is a joke when it comes to domestic violence and stalking. But at least Jennifer and Tabitha are safe and far away now. I'm still planning to follow them to Portland next week. My house is already on the market. My realtor thinks it'll sell quickly, and most of my stuff is either packed or sold. I know this is crazy. 5 years ago, Jennifer and Carlos destroyed my life, and now I'm uprooting everything to help them escape him. But I don't regret it. Seeing Tabitha's face light up when I told her on video chat yesterday that I was bringing Buddy with me to Portland, it made all of this worth it. I don't want to get back together with Jennifer. That chapter is closed, but I do feel responsible for making sure they're both safe. And honestly, helping them has given me a weird sense of closure. Like instead of letting the betrayal define me forever, I'm ending that chapter of my life with an act of kindness instead of bitterness. I don't know what's going to happen in Portland, but I know staying here with Carlos and his gambling buddies, knowing where I live, isn't an option.